Hey everybody, Bryce Koon here with another episode of Swarm Talk where we're going to dive into really the recruiting challenges for Georgia Tech and kind of what's upcoming for them. A lot of news surrounding conference realignment. We're going to get that into an episode later on in the week. But today we're talking more about the recruiting changes and more with Georgia Tech. All that and more on today's episode of Swarm Talk presented by the Crowded Booth.
Pile in here and make yourself feel at home. The Crowded Booth is coming on. The Crowded Booth with Bryce Koon.
Hey everybody, and welcome in. This is Swarms Talk, the only dedicated show to Georgia Tech athletics. Find us here on YouTube. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. If you're a Georgia Tech fan, share it with your friends as well. Before we get started today, we got to give a shout out to our sponsor. That is Section 103, more comfortable than the club seats. They've got fantastic gear. Make sure to go check them out and use code CROWDEDBOOTH for 20% off your first order. Well, hey, my name is Bryce Koon. If you're tuning in for the first time, we are so glad that you made this a part of your daily routine. And hey, we've got more episodes as we get closer and closer to kickoff. And today we're going to touch on an interesting subject because, the summertime comes and you can talk about a variety of different topics. And I always say that right now is a crazy time to be talking about Georgia Tech football because of a lot of news surrounding what will the ACC do? Could Georgia Tech be attractive for Big Ten schools? But I want to kind of touch on this, and they do both play in together. There is a recruiting ceiling for Georgia Tech. And a bunch of you will say, well, yeah, of course, because of the academic standard. But I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about that this staff, this new staff, the new recruiting staff, has done a great job of bringing in players that Georgia Tech, you would match them up, and the marriage works. Whether it's a star rating, whether it's where they are developmental-wise currently at that time. Georgia Tech is hitting the standard of where they need to be and where they need to go recruiting-wise. But this is the big thing. The Jackets are struggling in on-the-field production. And until that turns around, they are going to continue to hit their head against the ceiling of where they are. And let's take a little look at kind of where this is. Currently, the 2023 class is a top 50 class. They reigned at a top 50 class. We're coming at number 44 in the 2022 class. Going back to 2021, the number 43 overall class. 2020 was a number 28 overall class, headlined by Jahmyr Gibbs and Jeff Sims. 2019, Jeff Collins' first year, you kind of hybrid them in there as well with a lot of Paul Johnson's guys. The number 53 overall class. The Jackets are going to continue to sit between the 50 and the 35 range for the foreseeable future until changes on the field occur. And so you say, what are those changes? Well, the biggest thing is that you have to win. Georgia Tech is going to have to take some of these guys, and we see in the offer letters, you see it over on our board over on 24/7 Sports. They offer these kids that are not yet ranked. They're not yet rated, or the offer list may not be as impressive as most fans want it to be. But what Georgia Tech's going to have to do is they're going to have to develop these guys, and they're going to have to take them, and they're going to have to make them into all-conference type of players, maybe an all-American type of player, to be able to attract the 4 and 5 star. And see, I've said this multiple times. Georgia Tech should be able to recruit independently of their rivals in Athens and still have solid success. Right now, and give credit. Give credit to what Kenyatta Watson and his staff have done, Jeff Collins and the coaching staff, and this new revamped offensive staff with Chip Long and Chris Winkie. Give them credit because I think that they are now starting to hit a ceiling of how high they can recruit. Jeff Collins has been there for now, this is year 4. You have to have on-the-field results. You have to turn some of these close losses into wins. You've got to lower the margin of loss that you're going to have against some of the powerhouse teams in order to convince the top 3-star recruits, the top 4-star recruits, and maybe that 5-star that's sitting at Grayson or at Collins Hill or at Norcross, wherever it may be in this state of Georgia. They're going to have to do something like that in order to see an uptick in recruiting. Because if not, they're going to continue to hit their head. They're going to continue to hit the ceiling of where they are. And I think it's really interesting to see that you see a bunch of 4 stars sprinkled into these classes. And listen, we have the conversation of, a lot of times people, it's the easy way out. Well, we'll get better players when we start winning. And that is true. You're going to get these guys to take notice. But the key for Georgia Tech to take the next step in the recruiting sphere is they are going to have to translate it to on-the-field production and development. You're going to have to take that 3-star receiver that may have speed for days and turn him into an all-ACC type of player. That's up to the coaching staff. The coaching staff does their job. The recruiting staff can turn around and go after higher profile guys with a little bit more legitimacy in their back pocket. Georgia Tech's going to have to find that. And that's why this year is very, very important for not just people want to talk about Jeff Collins' contract, but it's very important for the future of this program. Can you close the gap of where you have struggled against top 10 teams? Now, listen, there's no shame in losing to a top 5 program. Not many people win those games, but you've got to be able to turn the tide on the close losses, and you've got to be able to really close the gap of where you're losing by a combined score of 100-0 at the end of the season against 2 top 10 opponents. Show some fight so then you can actually take the physical evidence and go over to that 4-star at Grayson, that 5-star at Milton, wherever that first player might be. And we're just staying within the Atlanta area and the state of Georgia. That's how rich and fertile this recruiting ground is. But you've got to be able to do something like that to be able to turn around and say, hey, we're this close to closing the gap. We need you. Because, see, right now the pitch isn't that. The pitch is we're still building. We're building, we're building, we're building. Come be a piece. The way you're going to get the attention of the 4 or the 5 stars is you're going to be able to sit there and pitch, okay, we turned this 2 or 3-star recruit into an all-ACC type of player, an all-conference type player, a second-team All-American. Imagine what you can come in here and do. Imagine the impact that you can do. Imagine the name that you can do. Imagine how your draft stock could go off the charts with what you could do. Until the on-the-field product produces tangible evidence, Georgia Tech's going to continue to hit the ceiling of where they are recruiting. And in my opinion, that is a best case, a top 35 class. A 35 to 50 range, they're going to sit into that because other teams that maybe have better on-the-field results are going to win those close battles. And look, we're not talking about the top 1% of elite programs. Your Georgias, your Alabamas, your Ohio States, your Texases, all of these other schools. We are simply talking about your Mississippi States, your Virginias, your Virginia Techs, your Louisvilles. You are going to have to turn the tide, and it's a slight tinker, if they can build the on-the-field product into what it can be this year. And that's a tall task. I'm not saying it's going to happen. But if they can do that, that'll change a lot of minds of recruits in the state of Georgia. And it's why we talked about this. When you look at this 2022 class that's ranked number 44 overall, they've hit the ceiling with this class. They are not going to entertain a higher-rated recruit. They're not going to entertain in a serious manner. They may get them to come on, a visit and see what Bobby Dodd's like on a night game. They may get them to get, mayhem at Mercedes against Clemson. But that's why, and I want you to picture this because the fans are really excited about this season. If Georgia Tech were able to pull off an upset of one Clemson, Ole Miss, win the road game at UCF, if they were able to do any of these things, let's just put this in perspective. If they could win the road game at UCF and pull off an upset of Clemson within the first 4 weeks of the season, you were talking about a team whose recruiting potential goes off the charts. Because now those 4 stars that are still uncommitted or those late rising 3 stars that are going to make the jump into the 4-star range are going to start to take notice. Oh, they're winning now. Oh, now I can be the missing piece that could put them over the top and compete for a spot in Charlotte. It's a very, very fine line that Georgia Tech's teetering on right now. But currently they're at that ceiling, and time will tell and the results will show. The first month of the season is crucial. Very, very crucial for Georgia Tech. If they could find a way to start off 3-1, 2-2, you have got to feel good about the chances in recruiting and being able to solidify some guys as you get to the early signing period in December. But right now they've hit the mark where this is as high as they're going to be able to reach with the current status that they're in. Hey, listen, we appreciate you joining. Just a quick episode today talking about Georgia Tech. We've got a fantastic show coming out here in just a couple of days. Is the Big Ten really going to come calling? We're going to talk about that and more, but we appreciate it so much. My name is Bryce Koon. Hit the follow button on Twitter at Bryce_Koon, the Hive GT, GoJackets.com, the official 24/7 sports affiliate for Georgia Tech. Hey, and make sure to subscribe to the channel. We've got a plethora of options for you. I know a lot of you Tech fans are Braves fans. We do some Brave shows. One of my great co-hosts, Ralph Leary, is on those. We're going to be unveiling more content as we get closer and closer to the start of college football. And we will see you, Tech fans, in Mercedes-Benz. We have to set up a tailgate, something like that. It's going to be a lot of fun. But remember, that first month is imperative for Georgia Tech because right now they're at that cap. And they need to bust through the glass roof, the glass ceiling, whatever you want to call it. They've got to do it with on-the-field production. Thanks so much for tuning in. My name's Bryce Koon. This has been an episode of Swarm Talk. We'll see you next time.
Pile in here and make yourself feel at home. The crowded booth is coming on. The Crowded Booth with Bryce Koon.